Coming up on show 732, BYD's new Blade battery redefines safety. Stick around, I'll tell you more. Plus, we're talking about how the Model 3 and the Model Y from Tesla could get air suspension despite Elon saying no. Electric scooter companies are facing issues. Electric buses are heading to Warsaw. Electric planes coming from NASA. And an all-electric Audi. Spy shots look like the real deal. Well, those stories and many more coming up on today's podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Welcome to EV News Daily for Sunday, 29th of March. My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. Recording this podcast late on a Sunday night, so I imagine I'll get around to publishing it on Monday, because we have just recorded a live show, which is the first time we've done this. Myself and a couple of EV-owning buddies, Nick and Craig, have decided that every Sunday night, because this lockdown, stay-at-home process that we're all going through is a necessity, but everyone's feeling a little bit isolated, like we could all do with the chat with friends at times. So we're going to make time on a Sunday night to do a live YouTube show, hopefully streamed on social platforms as well. And this will be an opportunity to get some guests on, but also as the three of us as presenters to have a chat with you in the live chat on YouTube as well. So even if you want to just watch the show, you can do that if you want to. If you want to join in, you can do that as well. The show was a test last night. The show was a test that we just made, but you know, it went so well, we've decided to change the status to public so anyone can see it. About 45 minutes long, EV chat of the biggest news stories of the week gone by. I'd invite you to watch that. It's on YouTube right now. Search EV Lounge Live. That is EV Lounge Live. I'll pop a link in the show notes if you want to click through to it this way. I'm one of the three presenters. We'll do it every Sunday night, and I'd love to hear your feedback. As you know, I don't really do video. It's always been an audio podcast, so this is new territory for me. I must admit, a little anxious, a little uncertain. I'm confident, but always looking to learn and to do new things and do things better. So I'd love to hear from you, but let's get into the news. Enough of my waffle. The average price paid across the US for a gallon of regular gas fell to $2.05 on Friday, 2 days ago. That's 7 cents lower than it was at the beginning of the week on Monday, and the lowest national average price since at least 2016, according to the AAA, which tracks gas prices. In comparison, at this time last year, drivers were paying on average $2.67 a gallon for regular gas, says MSN Money. They say that one obvious reason for the trend is there are fewer vehicles on the road in response to coronavirus. AAA explains that new data from the Energy Information Administration reveals that with many Americans staying at home and doing social distancing, gas demand has dramatically dropped. Also contributing to falling prices is a crude oil price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia. And the one thing that I really love about driving an EV, because most people charge at home overnight. Remember, that is nearly everyone charges their EV at home. Okay, there are people who can't and don't want to, but that's the majority do. Look, most places have very stable energy prices. Many places you can lock in as well for a period of time, months or perhaps years as well. I, as you may have heard recently, have just moved to an energy tariff that changes every 30 minutes because it reflects the wholesale energy market, but I'll tell you more about that on a future show, so I'm a bit different. However, many people can lock in long-term energy prices, and so you know what your car is going to cost to fill. You're not at the mercy of having that feeling in your gut when you turn around the corner and look at the sign on the gas station and, oh goodness, petrol costs this much now. You're not at the whims and mercy of an industry, an oil industry that you have no control over, and so gas prices going down, but you know, it's even cheaper still to drive an EV. And interesting, actually, that because of COVID-19, many fewer people are actually on the roads, as is the right thing. The coronavirus epidemic hasn't just slammed the brakes on the economy, it's upending some new model launches as well, says Automotive News Europe. The scheduled disruption could even knock Ford off the course with the Mustang Mach-E, their first pure battery electric car, the crossover that's a symbol of what the company is moving towards and what it wants to become. Well, the vehicle is expected to hit full production in Mexico in August, according to forecasters, and let's hope that by August all of this coronavirus is well and truly contained and in our memories. A spokeswoman for Ford didn't say whether launch plans were on target for the Mach-E, but telling Automotive News Europe only that teams are looking at every program. I'll pop a link to that article in the show notes if you would like to read more. Well, a company that is working really hard on new EV models is Volkswagen, and they've been out with the ID.4 in Sweden doing cold weather testing. They've dressed up the ID.4 as an Opel, as a Vauxhall. They've been driving the EV in Convoy in a VW Convoy. And the Convoy is covered, cars covered in sensors and little satellite dishes and sort of antenna and aerial. And in the middle of this VW cold weather testing Convoy is a car that is made to look like an Opel or a Vauxhall. I think it's like a Grandland SUV or something. Come on, VW. Don't bother doing that. We see right through it. You're testing the ID.4. You know what? The video looks pretty cool. I mean, as in the car in the video. It's about 3 minutes long. I found it on Motor One. It looks really... the car looks great. A great size, a great shape, great styling. Engineers are always trying to throw people off the scent. But with the internet these days, I mean, it's pretty hard to do that. It offers us a glimpse into the state of the vehicle testing, says Motor One. The ID.4 will be the production version of what, until now, they've been calling the ID Cross with Zs. Back in 2017, we saw the concept, and now we see the car in its not quite production form because it's covered in some camouflage, but it's looking like a great size and shape for many family buyers, and buyers can also choose a single motor option, a rear drive setup, or even a dual motor option as well. The maximum range will be about 310 miles on the biggest battery, that's 500 kilometres on the European test cycle, about 300 miles, maybe 270 miles on the EPA, on the very biggest battery of the ID.4, and of course the ID.3, the car that it looks like a Golf, is about the same size as a Golf, but do not call it a Golf. No, this is the new VW, of course, the ID.3. That is not going to the North American market, and understandably why, because they wouldn't sell many of them. The far more popular ID.4 will be the first of the ID family to hit the US, and it's going to sell a lot if they can make a lot as well. There's also going to be a performance GTX version. I look forward to seeing that. But yeah, like I say, it's a family car. It's a car that's going to be this crossover style that is just so popular. In all-electric form, up against the Model Y. It's going to do well if VW get it right. Talking of Model Y, let's move on. Another leak shows that Tesla is working on air suspension for the Model 3 and the Model Y, despite Elon repeatedly saying he's changed his mind and it's not getting it. It says Fred Lambert at Electric, an employee of a Tesla collision centre, posted an image online of the 12-volt electrical architecture of the Model Y. Well, he posted it on Reddit, and that post has now been deleted. It showed at the time that Tesla has built the 12-volt architecture of the Model Y to be compatible and to work with air suspension. The document is just the latest in a series of evidence that Tesla was, or is, thinking at some point at least having the architecture in place to put air suspension into the Model Y, maybe even the Model 3 as well. It was meant to be on the cars, not the first 6-month run of cars, but it was meant to be on the Model 3, but of course that was production hell and it all got forgotten about. Have you ever taken a ride on an electric scooter? But what about these electric scooters that you can find on the side of the street in major cities around the world? Well, due to the coronavirus, the electric kick scooter rental company, which is called Lime, has largely ceased operations, and sales have shrunk, according to a media report. Could even question the company's future, says Electrive. Bloomberg reports that Lime could be bankrupt in 12 weeks. The agency specialising in financial news substantiates that the assertion with the figures is based on the fact that on March the 14th they did 147,000 trips worldwide, and then 3 days later just 52,000 trips on their hired scooters. And of course, that in Paris alone, the largest single market at the time, the number of rides for Lime fell by 98%. You would hope, fingers crossed, that Lime as a business can get through this and the people working for that business are secure. And you also have to say that if anyone is on a Lime electric hire kick scooter, you really shouldn't be if where you are listening around the world is all about staying at home and staying safe. Because what are you doing out? Would be my question. And many countries as well, the police will ask you the same question. And many countries, they now have the power to fine you for being out if you are not getting your exercise or your shopping or whatever the rules are in your particular country. Well, ChargePoint have put together a summary of some changes that happened while I was sick a couple of weeks ago. I missed about 9 days of the podcast. I was proper ill. Don't worry, not coronavirus, but what started off as a sore throat and a head cold really knocked me for 6. I got to be honest. I said at the time when I came back from the podcast, I had no energy for days. Back on, absolutely fine now. But I missed at the time the budget in the UK. And I just found a little article that ChargePoint made all about the changes to the UK incentives. How does this compare to where you are listening to the podcast? Well, the recent budget kept the grant. It's not a tax thing. It's actually a free money grant for cars. It's now £3,000 though, and it's on vehicles up to £50,000 list price. The charge scheme for home chargers, which has been around 10 years now actually, and the workplace charging scheme has been around 4 years. They've both been kept, but the numbers are lower. The grants are for what was the scheme that started at about £1,000, I think it was. The home charge scheme grant has shrunk by more than half in the recent budget. It's going to shrink to £350 on the 1st of April. And not that I'm after a violin being played for me here, but it's the 1st of April in a couple of days' time, and my EV charge point, my new wall box, a Zappi version 2, should have been fitted to my house by now, and I should have been claiming the higher amounts because of coronavirus. Our electrician is not allowed to visit the property for anything but essential works, and putting in a 7 kilowatt updated Zappi is not exactly essential, so he's not allowed to come round to fit it until after all of the lockdown ends. That means that'll be into April, and that means that I'll have missed the 1st of April deadline, and I've got to pay a bit more. Yes, the world's smallest violin I can hear being played for me now. It's going to cost me about 150 quid extra. More of an inconvenience than a deal breaker, but still, you don't want that. Let's talk about electric buses. The first of 130 Solaris electric buses. The Solaris Urbino, Urbino. They are electric buses. They've been deployed in Warsaw since the beginning of the year. They've been delivering electric buses under the contract that Solaris secured in July last year, says Green Car Congress. And I remember reading about this at the time when the contract was first announced. They are articulated electric buses. They carry 133 passengers. They've got 150 kilowatt hours of batteries. They're high power density, and they can charge rapidly as well. They do a lot of charging cycles because they're going to be used in public transport and charged every single day, and they're currently using these solutions in places like Brussels and Barcelona. The batteries are recharged either by plugging in when they get back to the depot or pantograph as well when they're out and about. Let's move on from electric buses to electric planes. NASA has unveiled concept images of the all-electric X-57 Maxwell airplane, showcasing aspects of its final modification 4, or the Mod 4 configuration. It reports Engineering 360 website. The wing's 12 small high-lift motors, so it's not just a couple of motors on each wing, you're used to seeing with jet engines. There's 12 of them, but they're smaller, and they're electric propellers. They're used to generate lift during takeoff and landing. There are 2 outboard motors, which are used during cruise. Well, the electric propulsion system is designed to recover energy that would otherwise be lost to wingtip vortices, and the motors deactivate as the craft transitions from takeoff to cruise mode, and the propeller blades fold in to reduce the drag. The motors then reactivate and use centrifugal force to spin the blades back out to provide the lift come landing. Let's talk about an exciting car that is coming, the Audi E-Tron Gt. New spy shots do make it look like the real deal. When Audi unveiled the E-Tron Gt 2 years ago, LA Auto Show, very well received. And fast forward to this year, now Audi are pushing through and giving us all a all-electric super sedan in pretty much the same flavour as the concept car was, says the website hotcars.com, picking up some spy shots they've published online. It looks much like the Taycan, but it isn't a Porsche Taycan, but it is based on the same platform. The E-Tron GT shares the same architecture. It's called the J1 architecture for stats nerds by the Volkswagen Group, meaning it's not going to be based on what is an upcoming platform, FYI, the PPE platform for the next-gen larger EVs, which are coming from that company. So it's based on the same platform as the Porsche Taycan, aluminium and steel platform, underfloor battery design, 2 electric motors, 1 for each axle, 582 horsepower of output, all-wheel drive doing 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, 2-speed transmission, much like the Taycan as well. And this is it's a personal taste thing, but while I've never fully been on board with the front end of the Porsche Taycan, there's something about it which I get why people find it really beautiful, but just personally, I've always kind of, from any other angle I like it, but I've never quite got on with the front. I mean, not as if I'm going to be buying one, let's face it. So this is all really moo juice. However, the Porsche compared to the Audi E-Tron Gt, when you think it's the same platform, for me, and again, everyone's got personal taste, the Audi E-Tron Gt looks like just such a stellar car. Other cars that, I've long been a fan of quick Audis. My first quick Audi was an Audi TT, 180 brake horse model though, so single exhaust to that. That was in the late 90s or early 2000s, my first quick Audi that I had. And I love their design language, and I love the look of the Audi E-Tron GT. Love things like the R8, beautiful cars. Not that I don't get Porsches, so this will be interesting how many people opt for this, but if they're doing spy shots, it means that hopefully not too far away. Watch this space. Right, let's get on to the headline story today. And BYD, the Chinese company BYD, officially announced the launch of their new battery, and it's called the Blade battery. It's a development which is going to mitigate some of the outstanding concerns that some people have about battery safety. The online launch, obviously, all launches are going online these days, of the Blade battery is all about safeguarding people. And the BYD chairman and president Wang Shanfu said that the Blade battery reflects their determination to resolve any remaining battery issues around safety. BYD highlighted a video of their new Blade battery passing a nail test. In other words, hammering a nail into a battery. One of the most rigorous ways to test a battery. Otherwise it would cause thermal runaway. And the Blade battery has been in development for several years now. The singular cells are arranged together in a certain way, in an array, and then made into a battery pack. And because of the optimized pack structure, the space of the pack the actual space utilized is a 50% improvement compared to current conventional lithium-ion battery packs. While undergoing these nail tests, the battery doesn't emit smoke nor fire, and the surface temperature only gets up to between 30 and 60 degrees. Under the same conditions, a lithium battery would exceed 500 degrees and violently burn. A conventional lithium-ion battery pack wouldn't necessarily go up in flames or even emit smoke, but the temperature can go run away to 200 or even 400 degrees C. Well, BYD's flagship sedan model, launching this June, is the Han, H-A-N, the Han EV. And it will come equipped, it's going to be built with these Blade batteries. The new model will lead the brand's family of EVs. They say a range of 605 kilometres. But as we always know, the testing cycle that they use in China is, let's call it optimistic. But anyway, 0 to 60, 2 miles an hour, 3.9 seconds on this. So proper quick as well. Okay, let's move on. Final story of the day and the week, actually. And Case Construction Equipment has unveiled their Project Zeus. It's an electric backhoe. Well, what I would call a digger. Says Business Insider, the new Project Zeus has the same functions and power as a typical diesel digger. However, because it's electric, the cost of operating is significantly lower. It's quieter, zero emissions, can work indoors, good for construction in crowded cities or where noise is an issue, saving companies 90% in service and maintenance costs as well. And Case says the payback on this new backhoe is 5 years. Project Zeus has a 480 volt system, 90 kilowatt hour battery pack. It'll last all day on a typical 8-hour construction shift. So question of the week this week is probably the first time I've messed it up. I was asking you, how as EV drivers, how can we support the current crisis that's happening around the world, and nearly everybody responded with a variation of the theme, we can use our cars to help deliver essential supplies. For those people that can't get out, either our elderly neighbours or pharmacy deliveries, or for people who need medical supplies. Pretty much everyone replied with a variation on that theme. As I realised as other replies were coming in, that is probably the best way that EV drivers, if it's applicable and suitable and relevant and safe, to use our cars to help the community. There probably wasn't many other answers you could have come up with. So I won't read them all out because they're all variations of a theme. So thank you. Thank you if you responded to Question of the Week. Thank you so much. I got your email. I read it. Brilliant. Well done, me. I just didn't think it through. All right. So that was what most people emailed in with Question of the Week this week. Let's add a brand new one and I'll read out your answers next Sunday night. Here we go. New question. With VW's ID3 facing some hardcore software rewrites, the cars are made, but they're in storage, and they're not going to go to buyers till the software's fixed. Exactly how hard should we be on legacy automakers when they hit these EV speed bumps? Because I'm always giving people the benefit of the doubt, and then people on Twitter tell me I'm too easy on them. I think it's mind-bogglingly hard to transfer from 100 years of making combustion engines to this whole new way of making EVs. So what do you think about cases like this? How hard should we be on the big legacy automakers who are still struggling to make, in some cases struggling, to make EVs in big numbers? I would love to know your thoughts, please. If you're off work, if you're working from home, if you've got more time, I would invite you to email me. My address is hello@evnewsdaily.com. I love to get emails about whatever topics, but particularly about Question of the Week this week. Or leave a comment on the YouTube show, and I'll read them out on Sunday night. There are 731 previous shows online. Thank you to every person and every company on Patreon for supporting the creation of this show, and it really wouldn't happen without you to do that. Thank you to my premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group for clean tech talent, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, and Audi of Cincinnati East. My partners, David Allen, OEM Audio of New Zealand and evpower.co.nz, Paul O'Connor, tryev.com, Gareth Hamer, eMobility in Norway, Bob Boothby, and ev-resource.com. And all of my executive producers, and you know what, on a Sunday, I love to read out your names once a week, and I know it's a long list, forgive me, but I like to give back. Alan Robson, Alan Shed, Alex Banahini, Alexander Frank, Anders Hove, Andrea Jefferson, Asir Khalid, Ashley Hill, Björn Futestack, Brent Kingsford, Brian Thompson, Brian Weatherall, Bruce Bohannon, Charles Hall, Chris Hopkins, Colin Hennessy and Cams EV, Craig Coles, Craig Rogers, Damien Davis, Darren Bird, Darren Feach, Darren San and Yorkshire EVs, Dave Jewson, David Barkman, David Finch, David Partington, David Prescott and Derek Riley at Dublin EV Owners Club, Don McAllister of ScreencastsOnline.com, Enrico Stefanchillo, Eru Kiuni Nyombi, Frederick Rovic, Free Jewel, who's James, Jean Rubin, Gilberto Rosado, Jeff Lowe, Headley Wright, Ian Griffiths, Ian Sear, Jack Oakley, James Storr, Jerry Allison, Jim Duggan, Jim Morris, John Bailey, John C. Solar, John Lacey and Click Clack Video NZ, John, who is Beardy McBeardface and Kent EVs, John Lodell, Juan Gonzalez, Ken Morris, Kevin Madison, Carl Mahan, Lars Dallager, Lawrence D. Allen, Lee Brown, Luke Cully, Marcel Lohman, Marcel Ward, Mark Bossett, Marlin Shell, Martin Croft, Dorset Tradesman, Matt Piccioni, Maz Shah, Mia Oppelstrup, Michael and Luke Turrell. I've lost my place. Michael Pastroni, Michael Cuffin, Mike Rogers, Mike Winter, Nathan Gore-Brown, Neil E. Roberts and Sussex EVs, Nigel Miles, Northern Explorers, Ohad Aston, Paul Ridings, Paul Stevenson, Perry Simpkins, Pete Glass, Pete Gordon, Peter and D. Robertson, Oxen EVs, Phil Mouchet, Pontus Kindblad, Raj Badwell, Rajiv Narayan, Ralph Jensen, Renee Schneider, Rob Cooling and appledriving.co.uk, Rob Hermans, Robert Grace, Robin Tanner, Rupert Mitchell, Sari Kangasoja, Seiki Payne, Stephen Penn, Steve John, Thomas J. T.S. The Plug Seeker and his EV YouTube channel, Tim Gutteridge and William Langhorne. If you want to come and say hi on socials, please search EV News Daily and come and hang out and have a chat. I would love you to have a look at this new YouTube video we made for EV Lounge Live and give me your feedback. First video that we've done on the channel, and I'm just looking to see what people thought of the idea of a live chat show. Have a wonderful day. Catch you tomorrow, and remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.